What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Fantasy Stock Exchange here, and today I'll be going through my top Week 9 streamers, players at the quarterback, tight end, and defensive positions that, whether you're facing bye weeks, whether you're facing injuries, these are guys that are owned in less than 50% of Yahoo leagues that can help you secure the dub and ultimately push you toward that playoff spot. But before we get into the video, as always, make sure you leave a like down below. Let's try to get this video to over 150 likes and subscribe to the channel. It's free to do. We're on the road to 20,000. Appreciate you guys for that continued support nonetheless. And of course, comment down below your favorite streaming option of the week. But before I get into the video, as always, we're going to hit the intro. All right, wasting no time here. Let's get to the quarterback position. Number one quarterback stream of the week, in my opinion, is going to be Justin Fields, quarterback of the Chicago Bears, going up against the Miami Dolphins this weekend. When it comes to Justin Fields, he's quietly scored 19 plus fantasy points in each of his last three outings, all coinciding with the Bears finally opening up their offense when it comes to Fields. He's looked really good. He hasn't rushed for less than 47 yards in a single game since week 2, including weeks of 88 rushing yards, 82 rushing yards, and 60 rushing yards for Justin Fields. And when it comes to Fields, I'm just betting on a young budding star as a stream. I do think he could be a potential top 10 to 15 quarterback option for the rest of the season. Not just this week, potentially the rest of the season. So when it comes to Justin Fields, I'm trying to get him now before he ends up showing flashes like Jalen Hurts did in 2020 prior to his breakout season. I think that's all on the table when it comes to Justin Fields. The rushing ability is clearly there. They may make a move at the deadline to acquire another wide receiver to pair with Darnell Mooney. I think Justin Fields could potentially be that quarterback that you were looking for if you invested early in Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, guys like that in your drafts. Justin Fields is your saving grace rest of the season. So I would definitely feel comfortable if you have to putting in a couple fab to secure Justin Fields because I do think he is a long-term option. But especially against Miami, whose secondary has been completely depleted in the last couple of weeks, I do think that Justin Fields continues his good play going up against the Dolphins. Number 2 stream of the week is going to be Marcus Mariota, quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, going up against the Los Angeles Chargers this week. And he's quietly the quarterback 8 on the season. And as a quarterback that you can trust to give you, 30 to 60 rushing yards in most weeks, we finally saw the Falcons somewhat open up their passing attack this past week. We saw 28 passing attempts from the Falcons this week compared to 27 in their 2 weeks prior. If the Falcons are finally giving us some passing output in relation to their rushing output that they've already given, I do think that Marcus Mariota could be a high-end quarterback 2 for the rest of the season, top 15 quarterback option for the rest of the season. So we know what he could do with his legs, but if he can keep more passing attempts like we saw this past week, I definitely think, like I said, he can be a week-to-week starting quarterback option. So going up against the Chargers, we know the Chargers are going to put up points on the other end. And as a result, he's going to be ranked within my top 15 quarterbacks this week. Number 3 streaming option of the week is going to be Taylor Heinicke, quarterback of the Washington Commanders, going up against the Minnesota Vikings. And when it comes to Taylor Heinicke, he's quietly produced about 20 points per game in the last 2 weeks that he's been the starter. Now gets a matchup working from, again, a possible passing game script against a Vikings team that should be able to put up points on the other end. I think he could be a sneaky, top 15 level quarterback play. This was a guy that was a top 20 quarterback for the season last year prior to the team trading for Wentz. Wentz obviously put on IR. I think Heinicke could be that mid-range quarterback 2, low-end quarterback 2 option. And especially if you have a guy like Dak Prescott on bye, I think Taylor Heinicke should be able to get you by. Onto the tight end position, I just want to quickly make a disclaimer on a guy that is not playing this week, but if you're struggling at tight end, I think it'd be a potential long-term tight end option for the rest of the season. It's going to be Greg Dulcich of the Denver Broncos. He's not going to be officially part of this list, but if he's available on your wire, make sure you go pick him up. He is well worth a stashing option, given his involvement in the offense in recent weeks. But now let's get on to the official streamers for me this week at the tight end position. Number 1 is going to be Evan Ingram, tight end of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, I feel like I talk about this guy every single week, but it's valid. I mean, he's going up against the Raiders this week. We saw this past week he had a 100% route participation against Denver and actually paced that Jaguars offense with a 4 for 55 and a touchdown line going up against the Broncos over in London this past week. He's been their most consistent offensive performer, barring Travis Etienne in recent weeks, and somehow he's still rostered in less than 50% of leagues. I think Evan Ingram could be a fringe top 12 level tight end for the rest of the season. Number 2 tight end stream of the week is going to be Cade Otton, tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going up against the Los Angeles Rams this weekend. We saw all we needed to from a usage standpoint. 91.7% route participation for the rookie tight end this past week. And as we know with Tampa Bay, They are a pass first, pass second type of offense, second most passing attempts per game in the NFL at 42.5. While the offense has struggled as a whole, Arden has quietly gotten 5+ targets in 3 of his last 4 games. And this is a simple principle to me. I want to trust a young player that's looked good to continue his heavy involvement in a Bucs offense that has struggled in recent weeks. Number 3 stream of the week is going to be Isaiah Likely, tight end of the Baltimore Ravens. And when it comes to Isaiah Likely, an 81.4 route participation this week in relief of Mark Andrews. While I do expect Andrews to be back and dominant like we've seen all season, Likely could potentially be their number 2 receiving option in this game with the injury status of Rashad Bateman. I expect more 12 personnel looks from Baltimore, especially considering their lack of wide receiver depth with Bateman out. And I do think that Likely may potentially be their second best option in the passing game in this entire offense. I get it. It's a bit of projection that the Baltimore coaching staff is going to trust him more in the receiving game, give him more routes as a result of his play last week. Again, an exciting rookie tight end option that looked good. I don't expect him to be out of their plans anytime soon. So love Isaiah Likely, love the other 2 tight end options. Now let's get on to the defensive position. And my number 1 defensive stream of the week is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Carolina Panthers at home. And it's pretty simple to me. I mean, if you guys have watched this video in recent weeks, you know I love home favorites, so you know I love low implied point totals. And when it comes to this game, the Bengals are 7-point home favorites, and the Bengals are owning a 17.5 implied point total this week. I think the Bengals defense could potentially be a top 10 level defense in fantasy this week. I get it. The Browns had their way with the Bengals. No sugarcoating that. The Bengals looked awful this past Monday Night Football, but Cincinnati, before that game, was only giving up 17.8 points per game to opposing teams since week 2, prior to, of course, that embarrassment against the Browns. I expect this to be a bounce back performance for this Bengals team and defense, particularly against a Panthers team that averages 19.8 offensive points per game on the season. So definitely like the Bengals defense as a stream this week. I also like the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Tennessee Titans at home. I get it. This may be a spicy pick. The Titans are a pretty solid team, but it's the process. The Chiefs are 12.5-point home favorites against the Titans, who may go another week without Ryan Tannehill and have a 17-point implied total for this game. I expect the Chiefs to make work of the Titans this week. Obviously, I think this is going to be a blowout type of game, and I do think that this defense is going to be able to pin their ears back, get after the quarterback, because we know we can trust the Chiefs offense to be able to put up points on the other end. Final stream of the week, number 3 stream, is going to be the LA Rams going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when it comes to the Bucs offense, it looks absolutely broken right now. They haven't scored over 22 points in a single game since week 4, and their run game is, to put it simply, pathetic. What a turn of events for these teams. Obviously, if this game were to happen last year, heck, we saw the game in the playoffs, we saw the game in the regular season, like this game would have been set over-under wise at a 50-point total. But because of how bad each of these offenses has looked, over underline is actually only set at 42.5. I actually expect the under to happen in this game. I think this is going to be a sloppy defensive slugfest, and I do think that the Rams pass rush can take advantage of a banged up Bucs offensive line that, to put it simply, is not even remotely close to the unit that was dominant last year. But either way, I appreciate you guys for making it to this end of the video. Again, I want to keep this as short as possible. Make sure you leave a like down below. 150 is the goal of this video. And of course, comment your favorite stream of the week, whether it's, Cade Otton, whether it's Evan Ingram, you name it. Whoever your favorite stream is this week, make sure you leave it in the comment section. But until then, appreciate you guys. Good luck in your matchups. Take care.
Wire me the money.